You know that feeling when someone talks at you, not to you? It's this specific tone, a tone that demands things instead of asking for them. And what's wild is, this little habit can completely wreck your professional life, and you might not even see it coming. So let's get into what this is, this thing we're gonna call the official's tone.
So here's the big question we're tackling today. Why is it that ordering people around just doesn't work? I mean, it almost always backfires, right? Just think about it for a second. The last time somebody barked an order at you, how did that feel? Did it make you want to jump up and help them out? Or did it make you want to, do the absolute bare minimum just to get them off your back?
All right, to really get this, let's follow the story of a guy named Tung. Tung's a 30-year-old manager. He's not a bad person, not at all, but he's got this one blind spot. He honestly believes that to be a real leader, you've got to sound like a drill sergeant. And well, he is about to learn a very, very expensive lesson because of it.
Okay, so this brings us right to the heart of the problem. We're calling it the trap of the official's tone. And for our guy Tung, this is exactly where everything starts to go wrong. And I mean, in some pretty public and kind of cringy ways.
So what is this tone, really? Well, in Vietnamese, there's a perfect phrase for it, giọng cán bộ. It basically translates to the official's tone. And it's exactly what it sounds like, that commanding, kind of superior way of talking, where you just assume you're on a higher level than the person you're talking to. It's never a request, It's always a command just dressed up to look like a normal sentence.
So let's picture this. We first meet Tung at this super busy coffee shop. He's just closed the deal, feeling pretty good about himself. He's getting a little impatient, so he snaps his fingers, doesn't even look at the server, and just barks out, "Hey, you, the bill." See? Not a question, it's a straight-up command.
Oh, but it doesn't stop there. It actually gets worse. When the server brings the bill, he just throws a big note on the table and orders, "Give me the change." Just like that. And his tone is so abrupt, the poor server, who's already swamped, gets all flustered. She fumbles and ends up dropping the change all over the floor. And Tung? He just clicks his tongue, totally annoyed.
And right here, this is where we get a peek inside Tung's head. He's literally thinking to himself, you have to order them around. That's the only way they'll be scared enough to work fast. He's got it all mixed up, confusing fear with respect. He thinks this is how you show you're strong, but as we're about to find out, he couldn't be more wrong.
So this way of thinking, this whole attitude, it obviously doesn't stay at the coffee shop. He brings it to work. And that leads us to our next point, the hidden cost of disrespect. Because here's the thing, when you treat people like they're beneath you, trust me, they find some very creative ways to push back.
Okay, so we're back at the office. Tung desperately needs this report from a guy in IT named Hung. And here's the key detail. You gotta remember this. Hung does not work for Tung. They're colleagues, peers, in totally different departments. This is a perfect test, right? Influence versus authority.
So what does Tung do? He picks up the phone, doesn't even say hello, and just lays down the law. Send me the analysis by 3 p.m. and do it carefully. Then, click. He just hangs up. No hey, how's it going? No please, no thanks. Just a blunt order to a guy who has zero obligation to do what he says.
So can you guess what happens? Of course, 3 p.m. rolls around, no report. Tung storms over to Hung's desk, and Hung just calmly says, "Oh, the report's done. But, company procedure, I need my boss to approve it, and he's in meetings all day." See what he did there? Tung didn't get cooperation. He got something even worse, malicious compliance. Hung used the rulebook as a weapon to fight back.
All right, so this is where Tung's story really hits its peak. His little habit, it's about to go from causing minor annoyances to causing an absolute financial disaster. This is it. This is the moment the bill for all his disrespect finally comes due.
And the stakes could not be higher. Tung is in the final meeting for a huge contract with a Japanese client, Mr. Tanaka. We are talking a massive deal here, worth tens of billions of dong. It's the biggest deal of his entire career. And here's the thing about this client. He's known for being super careful and for valuing respect above all else. So they're in the meeting, and the client asks this really technical question that Tung just wasn't ready for. He starts to panic. And when he's under pressure, his worst habits come out. He whirls around to his junior colleague, Lin, and in front of the client and everyone, he just barks, "Lin, call engineering. Ask if they can do it. Quick!" You could have heard a pin drop. The entire room just freezes. The meeting ends, right then. It's super awkward. And later that day,
Tung's boss calls him in. The contract? Canceled. And Mr. Tanaka's feedback was just brutal and to the point. We cannot trust a leader who doesn't know how to respect their own team. Wow, Tung's official tone just cost his company a fortune.
Well, this huge failure leads to a pretty serious talk with his boss, and his boss just lays it all out for him. And this really gets us to the core lesson of this whole story, understanding the massive difference between just acting like you have authority and having real, genuine influence. His boss breaks it down like this. Look, on one hand you have a command, in Vietnamese, ra lệnh. That's when you assume you're higher up and you have the right to tell someone what to do. But on the other hand, you have a request, or yêu cầu. That's when you're asking for help, for cooperation, like your equals. One comes from ego, the other comes from wanting to work together. And this right here, this is the key. His boss tells him you have got to learn the difference between your need and your power. Think about it. Tung needed that report from Hong, right? But he had zero power to command him to do it. He needed Ling to make that call. But by barking at her in public, he showed the client that all he had was brute force, not real leadership. Confusing what you need with what you have the power to demand, that's the whole trap.
Okay, so that's the problem. The big question is, how do you fix it? Well, this last part is all about the solution. We're going to see how Tung turns things around, and more importantly, how all of us can learn to earn respect the right way. So after that complete disaster, Tung finally gets it. He starts to change. He actually starts replacing his commands with requests. He goes to Hung in IT, apologizes, and asks for his help. He even goes back to that same coffee shop, and this time he politely asks the server for the bill and thanks her. And the change is immediate. People actually want to help him now. They do things faster, they do them better. He's finally building allies instead of enemies. So what's the takeaway for you? Here are 4 simple steps you can try. First, just listen to yourself for a day. Seriously, how often are you commanding versus requesting? Second, before you ask for something, take a breath and ask yourself, is this a need, or do I actually have the power to order this? Third, make please and thank you your best friends. Make them automatic. And last, you've got to ditch that mindset, the idea that you have to put someone else down to feel important.
In the end, it all boils down to this one simple thought. That official's tone really comes from a place of insecurity, doesn't it? It's this belief that to make yourself look taller, you've got to push other people down. But real influence, the kind that lasts, that's not it at all. Real leadership comes from lifting yourself up, by showing respect, by building people up around you, and earning the one thing that commands can never ever buy: genuine respect